It's the first time for everything. You know what I love about my generation? Like the older you get, so when I was a kid, right, I used to see people, I used to think of older people as old, right? You're a kid, you think everybody's old, right? But my generation, this is what I like about my generation. My generation is the first generation to grow up with like rap music, like a certain type of music, with like video games and all that stuff, right? Like there were things that other generations had, but they spent more time outside and running around, right? My generation is the first generation that grew up with like arcade games and gaming systems and PlayStations and Sega Genesises and all that. Like those are all things I came up. I mean, my first system was an Atari 2600, right? Comic books and things and superheroes have been around, but my generation was the first to like really grow up with like the Star Wars movies and just all that stuff. I mean, you had TV shows. There was a TV show in the 60s. It was Batman. That joint was trash, but it was good for, I guess, back then. But it used to make me laugh because the Robin used to always be like, "Holy frozen icebergs, Batman." He used to always say, "Holy frozen something." I wonder if he saved. I wonder if that was really a Christian thing. Holy frozen. Anyway, so I grew up when I was a kid, there was a slogan by Toys R Us. And it was like, "I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid." All this stuff, right? And I was a kid when it came out, so I was like, whatever. I don't know what that would be like. As an adult, someone who grew up in all of this and had 3 teenage boys, 3 things I still love. I still like rap, even though I don't listen to a lot of secular rap because it's whack. But I still love like superheroes, comics, the movies, all the Marvel movies. I've seen all of them with my kids. Like I haven't outgrown those. I don't know if I'll outgrow those. I may be in my 60s, 70s, you know, and still going with my sons to go watch Marvel, whatever, whoever's fight Spider-Man movie, the 12th Spider-Man movie, right? When now Peter Parker's like 38 with a couple of kids and, you know, whatever, right? I've grown up in that world and I grow up in the gaming world. So I still like to play. I'm not on it as much though. I just don't have time for it. I'm saying all that to say, this morning, my 13-year-old walks into my office and I'm working from home today. And we give each other, all my kids come and they say when they wake up, they're on spring break. So they're sleeping till, they go to bed whenever. They sleep till 12, 1 o'clock. They come in my office, we dap, we talk, what's going on. So my son says, "Hey, did you see the new Final Four trailer?" And I said, no, the new Final. He said, "Fantastic Four." And I said, "No, I ain't see it yet." And he said, "Yeah, I'm about to watch it. I'm going to go on my," so I said, "Let's watch it right now." So I decided, let's watch it with my son. We watch it with my 13-year-old. So we watched it. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a Marvel guy. I like watching Marvel. Even with DC Comics, I just still like those movies. And because I have teenage boys, we go to these movies all the time. So even if I didn't like them, I would go because of them. All right. So we watch trailers and stuff together. I just love it. It's like I'm still a kid on one level, but I'm just a kid that can provide for his kids, right? So my son was like, "Let's watch it." Now the first Fantastic Four trailer, I was like, I don't think I'm not really banging with it. Even with Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is coming out right around my birthday. My birthday is May 4th. Thunderbolts comes out May 2nd. And I was like, but the more I see it, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to check it out. We always go watch it anyway. Marvel does me a birthday all the time. They always release birthday movies right around the first weekend of May. And that's always around my birthday. So we always go see Marvel movies. So I watched the new Fantastic Four trailer. And me and my son looked at each other afterwards. And we're like, because the first Fantastic Four trailer, I was like, I don't know if I like this joint. But the second one that came out, I guess today. So here's what we're going to do. I've never done this before on my channel. Never. So if it doesn't come out good, that's fine. I gave you some background. I've never done this before on my channel, ever. I've never done a reaction. Dan, what's up, Dan? Good to see you, bro. I'm hitting y'all early. Good day, Brandon. Good day. Man, you sound like you from like another country or something. Good day, Mike. What's up, Brandon? Good to see you, homeboy. Rick, that's what's up. Call it live. Here we go. This is a different live today, though, Rick. We're going to do something different today. We are going to look at the trailer, and I'm going to give a response. I'm a believer, so I'm going to try to give a response as a believer, right? But I'm also just a kid. I love it, all right? So let's watch the Fantastic Four trailer. And this is my son right here, Boom Crusher. He watched the trailer with me. He came in my office. We watched it together, and now he's watching his dad live on YouTube. Man, that's gangster. That's my dude right there. All right, let's watch this trailer, and let's see what we think. I'm going to give perspective as a believer. Fantastic Four trailer. Here we go.
Wow, folks, we all know the story. 4 brave astronauts head up into space and come back forever changed.
This car?
Our city, our planet, owe a debt to these intrepid souls. And while we can never repay them, we can certainly celebrate them.
Thank you, Fantastic Four. Thank you.
Thank you, Fantastic Four!
Please welcome the Fantastic Four.
Herbie, how's that sauce looking? Okay. That is fantastic.
You're late.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? You're late for dinner.
Yes, we are.
You late?
I just said that.
Are you pregnant?
What? You're gonna be the best mom in the world. And you are gonna be the best dad. Just kidding. You are out of your depth. We are gonna be the best uncles ever.
We can do this. Nothing is going to change.
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death.
It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space. And they hurt.
Are we safe?
I don't know. There's not enough time.
I'm not giving up. We will face this together. We will fight it together. As a family. Has to be us.
We will protect you.
All right. Some reactions to the trailer. Let me say a couple things before I give a reaction. When I grew up, I wasn't a Fantastic Four fan. I didn't really care for them. Then we had a plethora of comics. I didn't even like DC Comics that much, although I always respected Batman and Superman. I respected them, all right? But I didn't realize I was Marvel. I just liked the superheroes there. My favorite superheroes were Spider-Man and Wolverine individually. I liked the X-Men. The comic books were a little heady, so I used to steal them from 7-Eleven. And whenever I stole comic books from 7-Eleven that were X-Men, I regretted it. So I stopped stealing them. And I know that I was a kid. Don't judge me. But I didn't grow up liking the Fantastic Four. I wasn't really into them. But but they're superheroes, whatever. You watch it. But over time, you watch it. Now, there was a Fantastic Four movie that came out years ago. Remember when Chris Evans was Johnny Storm? Then he became famous for Captain America, so to speak. That Fantastic Four movie was terrible. Now, this is before, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was before Marvel started getting its run, all right? So the Marvel run was terrible film, though. Terrible film. I didn't like it. This one, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I don't know what I think about it. But this trailer is something else. So let me give you a couple thoughts on this. I know I'm going to see it because I have 3 teenage sons and they like it. Sorry that some of you are dropping off. I'm sorry. I'm just trying something different. I always talk about the Lord, and I'll always do that. And I'm going to have a tie in 1 second to God. I'm a believer, so my worldview is always as a Christian. So the trailer looks way better than I thought the first trailer did. The trailer actually is I'm encouraged by it because Marvel fell off a lot. If you want to say they got woke or whatever, some of the TV shows that Marvel did were just dumb. And this trailer gave me hope for the movie. Like, you got to learn more about it. It's clear that they're in a different world. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is not the Earth that we know, where there's already tons of superheroes. This is clearly a different world, which I think is going to be interesting because Marvel is trying to bring together these future Avenger movies like Secret Wars and different things that were going to bring people from the multiverse, right? So this is probably setting up in some way, shape, or form. Something's going to happen on this planet that's going to set the Fantastic Four up to come into the universe that we're used to with Spidey, the Avengers, and all of them. This is a different alternate world, right? I think that's pretty clear. At least it is to me. What I think is pretty good is the story looks good. It looks like they're up against a formidable opponent. I was surprised to see Silver Surfer, and there's a woman, but in the comic books, there was a female Silver Surfer. So I think the male Silver Surfer was still going to show up in the other Marvel Cinematic Universe. All that stuff was cool. I thought seeing the shadow of Galactus looking over New York City, his shadow, and then his big foot walking at the end was really dope. Because it makes you think, like, how are they going to go up against a being like that, right? Like, what weaknesses does he have? I mean, let's be clear. Reed Richards, he stretches. Johnny Storm, fire. Ben Grimm is strong, but he ain't stronger than no Galactus. You know, he could step. And then you got Sue Richards is invisible. So what I liked about this trailer is what it presented was the tension that we need in movies, especially superhero movies. We need the tension. And here's why we need the tension. Because many of us have been trained to think of these superheroes as like these unstoppable forces. I mean, I love that Superman has kryptonite. And there's different things that can stop these superhuman people, right? Because on one level, they represent like the ultimate hope in the fantasy world, obviously. In the comic book world, in the movies, they represent that, right? Not in real life. But some people believe in it in real life. But there's this tension that, like, in order for us to buy into the actual story, we have to believe that the heroes, who to us are all powerful, are facing an opponent they cannot win. This is what made Marvel's Infinity Wars and Endgame incredible, because now you're going against Thanos, who they just can't beat this dude. No matter how much they try, they can't beat him, and they have to go. That made this story really good and real, because many of us, we face trials in real life. We face obstacles that are just difficult to get through, and sometimes we just don't think we can get through them. We all have habits and patterns that seem as big as Galactus in the trailer that we can't get through, right? So there's that tension is there for a reason, because it helps us identify with we're people who just, we don't always accomplish our goals. We don't always get to the reality. Here's the other reason why, as a believer, I like these kinds of movies. Because on one level, they make these, this could be a bad thing, but I don't think it's a bad thing, because my faith isn't in the reality of the surreality of comic book superheroes. But these superheroes, they present these powers and all these things to us. But when you're a believer, you know about God, you know he created the universe and all those things. Sometimes these superheroes are the closest thing we get to imagining the God versus the devil, good versus evil, in a supernatural kind of way, right? I mean, we get it from a spiritual warfare perspective, but what these kind of movies do is they almost allow us to imagine, like, if God were to fight against, you know, we think of God all powerful. All these things are so true, but it gives us sort of like, while Jesus is not a superhero and an action figure, he is our hero, though. He is all powerful to us. He is a being that is allowing evil to gain some to have some, significant influence in the world that belongs to him. But we get to imagine this sort of dualistic reality because we live in a world that is supernatural. It's not superhero, but we live in a world that is more supernatural than our world. Like on one level, this is what I love about being a believer and how for me it parallels with stuff like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Demons and Satan, these are like super villains to us. I mean, in all seriousness, like in the most serious way, they're super villains. Satan is the ultimate supervillain, and demons, they have these powers. We've seen movies, we've known stories of people being possessed. Like demons they're super villains who can affect people's bodies, cause things to happen in the world, right? We know that Jesus is our superhero, our Superman. His only kryptonite was his love for us, if you will, because that allowed him to die, right? But there's this reality, like we live in a world where superheroes, Jesus is our superhero, and supervillains are satanic, and we live in a world of spiritual warfare. I don't know if you've ever dealt with, because people are so crazy and they jump overboard with it, and they make spiritual warfare sometimes out to be this mystical thing, but there are times when it gets real. I'll tell you a story that was true. In 2023 was probably the single worst year of my life in terms of all the circumstances that were happening. As a pastor in the church, there was all this stuff was going on in my own personal life. All this stuff was going on, and it was just spiritual warfare everywhere. And I remember, I'm talking about dark nights of the soul. I had many in 2023, going into 2024. And I remember there was a time, and if you watch my channel, I'm not one of these like, oh, the devil's everywhere. But there was a point where I couldn't pray in my room. Like I have my little altar as I sit on the edge of my bed and I just cry out to the Lord, and I spend sometimes hours praying, worshiping, reading, all this stuff. But there was one night at 3 a.m., I heard this sound. And I was like, what in the world is that? So I get up, and it sounded like a bunch of marbles dropped on the ground. And I go into the bathroom, use the bathroom, and I come out, and I'm looking like, what was that noise? And so I turn the light on, and I just happen to look. On top of my clothes dresser is all my colognes are there. And they were just knocked over. And I know that I knew in that moment, and I prayed this to the Lord, I knew that was the enemy letting me know we're here. You're not hallucinating. And they were trying to scare me. And I was a bit afraid because I was like, okay, wow, this spiritual warfare is not just a concept. It's not just me fighting my flesh. This is, you're here now. At that time, I was teaching a series called The Supernatural Storyline of the Bible at my church. And I think the Lord just gave me insight, and I was just exposing a lot of things about Satan and what they do. And I just felt like, and there was a guy in my church, really charismatic guy. And I believe some of the stuff he said. And he said that he was told by a demon that they're watching me and they're not happy, right? So he told me this, I kid you not. After that, proverbially all hell broke loose. All this stuff happened. I honestly did not know if my church would be here today. Like I couldn't imagine 2 years ago, and then what happened throughout 2023, that my church would still be there, that I would be there, there was just a lot that happened. It was very, frightening is the wrong word. I wasn't frightened, but there were times I was scared. I was afraid at times, but I was afraid. So this happens, and I see the cologne all over the place, and I knew it was like, okay, these guys are letting me know. It's 3 a.m. That's supposed to be the witch's hour, right? So I just prayed. I said, Lord, I was honest. I said, Lord, I'm surprised you let them let me know that they're here on that level, but I trust you, woo-woo. And then I asked the Lord, I said, I'm angry enough to ask you to make them pick all them colognes back up, and I wanted to watch it, just them get up by themselves. I almost prayed it, but I didn't. So I ended up staying up. I wasn't comfortable going back to sleep. I stayed up, worked on the message, and the Lord gave me a banger for that Sunday anyway. So they just had to get more mad. But I got through that. Spiritual warfare is real. And what I love about the movies is even though they're at a whole different level and they're not real, they remind me of spiritual warfare. They remind me of there are beings that exist that are more powerful than us on one level. Our faith is our superpower. We're all superheroes in the sense that we have faith and we can resist the devil, right? But when I watch these movies, they're fantasy, they're fun, but they also have a deeper meaning for me where there's spiritual warfare. I look at it in that way. God is the ultimate being, right? But there's spiritual warfare, and it's helpful. Now, where these movies, I think, they're not helpful, is that they create these demigods or these gods as if Superman and all these people are so powerful. And there's always a being that can defeat those beings. But I think it gives an idea of sort of worship of things that are not true and these superheroes. But I think the reason why movies resonate with us, comic books of superheroes, I think stay with me for a second, right? I think this has more to do with us being created in God's image. So when the Bible talks about that God's put eternity in the heart of men, right? He's put eternity there. We understand there's something greater than us out there. That's where all these religions, Satan has made that become religions. We understand that there's something greater. There's a force that is powerful that's out there, right? We get that point. And so what these movies do by leading us to look to these other things and have confidence, we wish our world was like that. We wish we were superheroes. I wished I was a superhero as a kid. But then I became a Christian, and now I realized that I think what draws us to these movies is that we're created in God's image and we serve the God who's the king of the universe. And he's powerful. It's not a joke. It's a real thing. But we also know spiritual warfare is powerful. So I think what the enemy does is, it's not even always the enemy, but we've been able to sort of adapt that mindset into an alter reality where we can have these superheroes and supervillains and good versus evil, and it seems like this great dualism. And then reality, it's sort of like that for us. It's sort of like that. So I'm just grateful. I love these movies because I don't idolize the heroes. I mean, when I was a kid, I wasn't a believer, but they remind me of a God who's greater. It's like so Galactus in this joint had a big shadow over New York City, and then he was just walking through the city. Right? He was walking through what I guess it was their version of New York City. Here's what I love. Here's why those movies don't affect me in that way. Because the Galactus that I serve, right? The Galactus that I serve is this. Here's what he says. He says, this is Isaiah 66, 1 and 2. The Lord says, heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. Listen. Galactus was walking through the earth and he looked big, right? The God that I serve, my Galactus, says the earth is my footstool. Can you imagine? So Galactus, and this is what I love. This is what I'm saying. They can't make a movie showing the God that I serve. If you're a believer, the God that you serve, he's too big. He's too big. It says the earth is my footstool, fam. That means that he just would be sitting and the earth would be underneath his foot. I just imagine him sitting on a throne and the earth he's resting his left leg on the earth, right? You can't create a God that's that magnificent. You can't create a God because if you did that in the cinematic universe, he would be unstoppable and it would be no fun. See, part of what makes these things fun is even though the supervillain like Thanos was incredible and almost looked unstoppable, there's always a way to beat him. But you can't beat the God of the Bible. So again, I think the trailer's phenomenal. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm going to go see the Thunderbolts when it comes out. I love having three boys that love these movies. The trailer was dope. I loved it. I don't know what you think about it. Let me know in the comment section what you think about it. I can't wait to see it. It made it look better for me, the movie. But these movies always remind me that the Galactus that I serve, he can't walk on the earth. He can't, because it couldn't sustain him. But he did become a human being, and I don't even want to hurt y'all with that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Grace and peace.